Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay. I just read the news that Lana Wachowski, formerly Larry Wachowski, is back to write and direct the fourth Matrix installment. This is both very concerning and exciting at the same time for a number of reasons. I'll break down my feelings in a moment. First, I want to mention a couple of things that I've read so far. Number one is Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are both back to reprise their roles. Grant Hill is back to produce again. I don't know who Grant Hill is or his filmography. I just remember seeing his name at the end of each of the Matrix films. And normally, Lana Wachowski writes with Lily Wachowski, her sister. Lily Wachowski is formerly Andy Wachowski, for those of you that don't know. And normally they write and direct together. But this time, Lana is directing alone, and she is writing with Alexander Heeman, if I am pronouncing his name correctly. He was a writer on Sense8. And she is also writing with David Mitchell, who is the novelist on Cloud Atlas, if I found the right profile on IMDb. Those two names do not give me the most amount of confidence in how the fourth Matrix installment will turn out. I'm not gonna lie, but I still have hope. I have a sliver of hope, and I'll tell you why in a moment. First, I want to express some of the concerns I have that you might have as well. The first concern is not everybody loves Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. It's very divisive how people feel about those films, or it's very divided, I should say. Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions obviously did not live up to the expectations of the first Matrix, and there was a lot of people who hated them at the time, and now you've got a lot of apologists for those two movies saying it's not that bad, it's not as bad as people made it out to be, just like you've got apologists for the prequels of Star Wars. And there are people who liked it then and like it now, and there are people who hated it and still hate it and feel like it was an absolute utter disservice to the Matrix, and a fourth one will only further serve as more disservice to the Matrix film. Now, me personally, I enjoyed Reloaded and Revolutions. I did not love them, but I did spend a considerable amount of time trying to understand them, pick them apart, and make sense of the mess that was given to me. I loved the Animatrix films, the short films. I thought those were really cool. I played the video games, Enter the Matrix, and Path of Neo. I enjoyed both of those. Path of Neo more than Enter the Matrix, even though the ending was super weird. The Wachowskis put themselves into the ending of the game to say that they're changing the ending of the movie. That was bizarre. If you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube that shit because it's wild. But yeah, I enjoy those games and you know, always have clamored for more Matrix story. I think that they've built this really cool universe that has so much left to explore. I mean, there are so many places you could go with the Matrix story that is just left on the table. And Warner Brothers for a while there was talking about doing a Matrix TV show. I think, my guess, my theory, my conspiracy theory side is kicked in. My theory is that Lana Wachowski didn't like the idea. Neither Lana or Lily Wachowski didn't like the idea of a Matrix TV show. Obviously, Lily Wachowski has no interest in revisiting this IP, this franchise. And so Lana has decided to step in to ensure that Warner Brothers does not produce a television show dumpster fire. I think Lana's attitude is, if there's going to be a Matrix dumpster fire, it's going to be my Matrix dumpster fire. And I totally get it. I'm saying that as a joke. I don't think that Lana's going in thinking it's going to be a dumpster fire. I think that they think all their films are amazing. That's another thing I want to talk about. My favorite film that the Wachowskis were part of after The Matrix, my favorite film of theirs was one they didn't direct, which is V for Vendetta. They did Ninja Assassin, which I did not appreciate. I liked Speed Racer. I enjoyed that quite a bit, way more than I think critics gave it credit for at the time. And Cloud Atlas I thought was okay. And I did not finish a single episode of Sense8. Most people really don't like Jupiter Ascending. I was one of the few people that enjoyed it, but I think I enjoyed it purely for one reason, which is I got the joke. I have a whole review talking about that. I'll link that in the description below. But most people hate Jupiter Ascending. And so there's not a whole lot of good stuff there in the Wachowski filmography. Oh, wait, I forgot all about Bound. Bound was really, really good. So if you guys haven't seen Bound, it's an excellent movie and definitely worth watching. It's a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit, corny, but it's an awesome movie overall. It definitely feels like it's time, the time that it was made in, but I love the shit out of that movie. I think it's so well executed, especially for a $4 million budget. It's just really, really well done. It was the film the Wachowskis made in order to get The Matrix made. So if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely need to go check that out. Anyway, so because of those films, because Lana is doing this by herself, and because of those writers that I mentioned that are working with Lana, I'm concerned that this fourth Matrix is not going to turn out great. But I have hope because I want to see where this goes. I feel like there's a potential here to answer questions that the Matrix Revolutions did not answer. More than likely, this fourth Matrix movie is just going to be more questions. It's just going to be more, what? Huh? I don't, what? And you're going to have to pull out your theological texts again and your philosophy books and break it down and go through Wikipedia to understand what the hell was being, what the fuck that movie was. You're going to have to break it down again. More than likely, it's just going to be an exercise in futility. More than likely. But I have hope that Lana Wachowski, come 2020, is going to be producing a film, directing a film that is, reinvigorating sci-fi in films. Because the thing about it is, with regard to visual effects, it feels like we've seen it all. And we kind of keep feeling that way. And as soon as like something new comes out, like I remember when I saw Doctor Strange, I was like, wow, this is new. This is like the next step up from Inception. This is crazy. And then the way Marvel has been doing the de-aging effects, like that's new. But nothing has really wowed people in a long, long time. And I'm hoping that Lana Wachowski's got some ideas that can potentially do that. I mean, Bullet Time totally revolutionized the visual effects industry. It was completely brand new and groundbreaking. And there was a lot of stuff they were doing that was experimental in Matrix 2 and 3 that largely fell to the wayside that people don't talk about or notice. But if you go back and watch the behind the scenes of Matrix 2 and 3, there's so much there that was brand new that has never been attempted. Some things they tried that didn't even make it into the final product, like doing a fight scene inside of a vomit comet, fighting while floating and whatnot. And so they settled for some kind of weird contraption that was like holding people up instead of the vomit comet. But nevertheless, they were trying to do new things in terms of just ideas. And I'm hoping that Lana Wachowski brings to the table new stuff that we haven't seen yet. Like I said, there are so many questions that The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions gave you, and I'm wondering about the possibility, the notion that maybe this one will give us some answers finally. And this is not so much a positive or negative. This is a neutral thing that I'm imagining is going to happen. Because this is being done instead of a TV show, I'm imagining that this fourth Matrix film is not a one-off. I'm imagining that Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss have signed up for a trilogy. I could be wrong. I could be just making this grand assumption here. But it's what makes the most amount of sense to me. They're investing into this again. Like Lana Wachowski is investing time into this story again. And they're grand storytellers, Lana and Lily Wachowski. They're grand storytellers. So I would imagine that whatever Lana has conjured up with David Mitchell and Alexander Heeman, I would imagine that whatever they've conjured up is going to be huge. It's not just going to be one movie. It's going to be huge. It's going to have to be broken up into 3 films just to be told correctly. And my hope is that, the fourth Matrix movie makes enough sense that they get the green light for 2 more Matrix films so that we can at least get the entirety of what they're talking about, because it would be horrible if they fireflied this shit and we only got part of a story. Even if the story's bad, I feel like even if Matrix 4 is nothing but a dumpster fire, people are going to go out in droves to see it. Why? Just out of sheer curiosity and also nostalgia. We are in the era of nostalgia now more than ever. I feel like we're always in an era of nostalgia, and we just think we're the first ones to do it. But right now, it really, really feels like we're in the era of nostalgia, because we're getting a lot of these sequels, a lot of these remakes to stuff that we saw 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We just got another Rambo film that's coming out next month. So for nostalgia and for curiosity, I feel like the fourth Matrix movie could do really, really well, at least opening weekend. I'm going to see it no matter what the critics say. Even if it gets 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, my butt's going to be in the seat watching that movie, because I'm just too damn curious. I really, really want to know what they're going to do with this story. What's the connecting tissue here? Like, how are you going to explain Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss being not only back from the dead, but older? How is that all going to make sense? I had to come up with a theory here, and one of my theories is that they did another Matrix, right? Because in the Matrix Revolutions, they said something about there were 6 Matrixes before. So we can assume that there were 5 or 6 Matrixes before. There were 5 or 6 Neos and Trinities before. And the Matrix Revolutions or Reloaded is where it differed from the previous Matrix constructs, right? I would imagine that here what's happened is you have another Matrix, and Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are back. They're born again. Instead of it going the way it did before, it takes longer to go the way it did before. It takes longer for war to take place again. And so that's why they're older. That's the only logical explanation I can come up with at this moment in time, is that it just took longer to get to the inevitable war to come, and for the whole Agent Smith thing to happen. I'm wondering what's going to happen there. It would be cool to see, what's his name back again? Hugo Weaving back, even if he just makes a cameo appearance. That would be pretty cool. But that's my little tiny theory about what's going on with this new Matrix movie. Who knows what the hell story they're telling, but nevertheless, whatever it is, I'm excited, and hopefully my dumb theory made some semblance of sense. You guys, let me know what your theories are on this new Matrix movie. Would love to hear how you guys feel about this. What do you think? What's the story going to be? Yeah, I'd love to chat with you guys about it. Let me know. I'm Jaby Koay. Peace out.